Our next partner has a product I literally use every day. I started taking Athletic Greens because I wanted the best immune system possible. I'm somebody who takes vitamins every day, and I just felt like Athletic Greens was definitely something to try out.
I started taking Athletic Greens to improve my gut health, which is a journey I've sort of been on for the last few years with different probiotics and things like that. Your gut health is tied to so much of your other health, including sleep, that I felt Athletic Greens was giving me the best source for that gut health.
One scoop of Athletic Greens is 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day right.
This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging.
Okay, so we both started taking Athletic Greens, also known as AG1. I take it in the morning. It's the first thing I do. Sometimes I incorporate it into a shake. It has a great flavor. I also have all of the to-go packets. I took them with me when I traveled. I gave some to my mom. I gave some to other family members that I saw. I really love it because I'm not somebody who drinks coffee and I'm not somebody who takes in caffeine, but I feel like it gives me energy all the way to the end of the day.
Yeah, and for me, I am a coffee drinker, but I would take my vitamins and sort of any probiotic in the morning along with what I eat for breakfast. This was such a great supplement to that habit of having breakfast and coffee. It tastes really good too.
And it's like one-stop shop for all of your vitamins for the day.
Right.
It's the small micro habit that you can do every day, and your subscription comes with a year's supply of vitamin D, which is great for these winter months that we're about to go into. And for every purchase, Athletic Greens donates to organizations to help get nutritious foods to kids in need, including No Kid Hungry.
It's good for any diet, whether you're vegetarian, on paleo, or keto. AG1 or Athletic Greens is gluten-free, nut-free, dairy-free, egg-free, and there is no added sugar. Athletic Greens also supports better sleep quality and recovery and is a climate-neutral certified company.
Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into flu and cold season. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health.
To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/gaze. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/gaze, and that's GAZE, to take ownership over your health and pick up your ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
I'm really excited to incorporate this on days where we do really long hikes.
Talk to me about your mechanic.
My mechanic?
Yeah.
I do love my mechanic.
I know. You have a relationship.
I do. I have a relationship with my mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still go back to where I used to live,
which is like a full
40 minutes away from where I live now, just to go to the mechanic. Yeah, because I trust him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I feel like that is the ultimate trust relationship
with the mechanic.
Yes. That is like, forget your husband or wife. Do you trust your mechanic?
Oh, it's true though. Mm-hmm. It's true though. He's got his, little privately owned shop, and it is just, I was referred to him by a friend and was like, I love this guy. And so I continue to go to him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which I have done many times. Once I remember my car fully died in the middle of the New Jersey Turnpike.
Oh God.
The darkest part of the turnpike, in the middle, in the
my
evening.
Corner of the woods.
Your corner of the woods. Just had to sit there on the shoulder while waiting for the tow truck. And I towed it all the way to the mechanic, but it was terrifying. Just New Jersey Turnpike's a very busy road.
Yeah.
And so to be on the shoulder of the turnpike, it was I moved over to the passenger seat because I was afraid of being that close to the moving cars on the turnpike in the lanes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like my mechanic, my relationship maybe isn't as built on trust as it is with yours. But I also feel like I wish that I had a more trusting relationship. But I feel like for the both of us, with the trips that we've taken, mostly in our cars, a lot of our travel has been with our own personal vehicle.
It has.
So I feel like that trust relationship should be stronger for me.
Right.
Because we've driven some miles. Yeah.
I mean, we did have that moment outside of Shenandoah when your battery died.
Right.
And you would never replace the battery in
Right.
like 5 years.
Right.
And it was, okay, yeah, your battery is done because
I was also having emotions for other things going on.
Oh, you were
right
having
then.
a lot of emotions.
There was a
then,
lot
it's
happening
true.
that trip.
So that was, luckily, Advanced Auto Parts was around the corner.
That's
so
true.
we were able to fix that.
Yeah, we have definitely had our fair share of car issues while traveling. So I think we should probably build an altar to whatever saint controls cars and protects them.
We should build a what?
An altar to whatever saint protects cars.
I wonder who that is.
I don't know.
Our Catholic upbringing.
Mm-hmm. Saint Hertz Auto Rental.
It's Saint Christopher.
Oh, Christopher.
Looking for adventure, I want to follow on the trail, or get a little lost and let the wind fill my sails. Get up when the stars still fill the sky, don't wake the sun. There's so much to be done, and the day has just begun. Go where the postcards are real, you can feel, you can open your eyes and open your heart when you gaze at the national park. At the national park. At the national park. Follow you, I'll follow you there.
We would like to acknowledge that while hiking and exploring the land also known as Glacier National Park, that we were on the traditional and stolen lands of the Blackfeet and the Tanaka people.
This morning, we had to get up very, very early.
This was our second day in Glacier.
Second day, and we were going to do the Highline Trail.
We were
so
talked
excited
all about
it.
When we were at Logan Pass the night before. We were jazzed.
There was a part of me that was
been juiced up.
I was a little nervous because there's like a whole section of the rock that's like there are chains that you hold on to. But Becky and Lou and KT had all said like it's really fine. Mm-hmm. Like it's a lot easier than it seems.
Right. And we were driving up to Logan Pass. They were pointing out, like we would
and we
pull
could
off,
see the people walking on it.
and they'd be like, oh, so like that's where you'll kind of be at the highest point of the trail there. See that? You're going to come through there. So it was sort of cool to have the perspective as we were driving up, going to the Sun Road to Logan Pass the night before.
So we got up very early and we did our morning breakfast routine again.
Yeah, you were the crankiest that morning. It was... You were just like, I'm really tired and I'm just going to sleep the whole car ride up. Like, you can handle it yourself, right? And I was like, I guess.
I think I slept terribly
which
in
is
the tent,
atypical.
which is atypical.
Because the sun was up until like 11:30 that night.
Yeah. I also think I was probably nervous about doing that trail.
Yeah.
I was trying to get my bearings at the time. That's what I was doing. And I said, maybe if I just sleep a little bit in the car on the way up, I'll have some more energy. So we're in the car.
Trying to be quiet as we get in and load up and everything. Yeah.
And we start going down the hill.
Right.
From the
Johnsons of St. Mary's campground.
Yes, which is an all gravel hill.
Mm-hmm.
So we make it down the hill and we get onto the road.
Which is like literally, 200 feet before you turn.
To the right to go to the entrance.
Yeah. Coming down the hill, the car was making a strange noise.
And I just thought it was like the noise on the gravel.
Yeah.
And then we got onto the paved road and it kept going. And I sat up and I said, what is that? What is going on? And you were like, what? And I said, there's a sound happening.
Which you're more keenly aware of car sounds than I am too. But this was a very apparent sound.
And
so you're like, pull over here.
Let's pull over up at the gas station.
I like how you presented that. I think it would be, let's pull over at the gas station. What a fine idea that would be. You were like full Capricorn, alert and awake. Pull over right now. Was exactly what you gave me.
I love that. Okay, great. And so we did, and we got out and...
We had a flat
tire.
We had made it all the way through the state of Montana.
To Montana from New Jersey with no problems. And then we got a flat tire coming down the hill.
Yep.
Headed in to hike the High Line.
So you were like, have you ever changed a flat tire before? And I was like, honestly, no. And you're like, good, because I've done a bunch.
I said, well, you're going to learn this morning.
I guess we're doing this.
And I said, I don't think we're hiking the High Line this morning.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, we have to solve this problem now. And then we'll figure out what to do.
This was like 5-ish in the morning.
This was 5 a.m. Yeah. And it's dark still. And so we go to the back of the car. We unpack everything that was in there to get the spare tire and the jack. And then we get to work.
And it was weirdly like humid. We were bundled for like a cold morning hike, and it was humid and buggy.
Yep.
And the complaints, like these bugs right now while I'm trying to change this tire. But you were a pro. Like I was in awe of your acumen when it comes to changing tires. Because how many have you had to change?
Easily a dozen.
Yeah. You were like, hand me that now. Like, I need this. Hold here. Like, it was really like barked orders, but like they were very professionally barked at me.
Well,
and I didn't feel unsafe.
I'm glad. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to hear that. We put on the spare tire.
The donut.
And did we really drive back up the hill?
We did. And I think
in
there was
hindsight, I would have been
that.
like, we can't drive up the hill because we're on a donut. Like if we lose another tire,
we're screwed.
We're really screwed.
Right. But I think the thought process for us was, well, we have to figure out how to solve this problem. It's probably like 5:30 now. What can we do? Let's drive up the hill, because at least at the campsite, we have access to Wi-Fi because our carrier is terrible in Montana. We had no service in East Glacier. This carrier does not rhyme with Horizon.
Right.
So just a negative ad for our cell phone carrier here, and a positive for somebody else. So we were kind of screwed in that way because we didn't really know what to do. We also kind of knew that we weren't really near anything. We knew there were no tire places in.
We knew like
St. Mary.
Didn't we get on the phone? We got a little bit of internet on the phone.
Right.
In order to know that there was a tire place in the Blackfoot Reservation, but I don't think they were opening until 9
well, it was
or 10.
Also a holiday Monday. It
was
like
so we didn't know if they were going to be open or not.
4th of July, essentially.
It was, yes.
Yeah, so we were like, oh, damn, like this is going to really throw a wrench in our plans.
Right.
And the day before, Becky Lomax had mentioned, I got this from the Costco in Kalispell.
Yeah, we remembered this.
There's a Costco.
It was like one of those like in primetime drama when they're putting things together and then they play a clip of something somebody remembers. And it was like, I got this at the Costco in Kalispell. We were both like, there is a Costco in Kalispell. And where there is a Costco, there are tires.
That's right. And I have gotten Costco tires before because my mom is a Costco member.
And we said, maybe you're on that membership.
Right.
Maybe you're also a member at Costco.
So by some weird miracle, I actually had cell phone service that morning, and I was able to talk to my mom. It must have been like 9 o'clock on the East Coast at this point, because it was probably 6 by the time we had figured all this out. And
or
she
at least
was
8.
Yeah, she was like, here's my number. Please keep me posted.
Yeah. We said, okay, looks like we're going to the Costco in Kalispell, but how do we get there?
Right? Kalispell is sort of like
It's the west side of Glacier,
the west side of
and we're
Glacier.
on the east side of Glacier, and there are 2 ways you can get there. You can get there either circumnavigating the entire park, which is like 2 big highway roads on the outside, or going to the Sun Road. Here was our conversation, essentially. I was like, we cannot drive on the Sun Road right now because, yes, we have access to it this day, but if we get another flat tire on the Sun Road, not only are we totally screwed and we have to wait for a wrecker to get up the Sun Road to get us off, then we create a literal standstill traffic for everyone else the rest of this day.
And that's what we did.
No, of course we didn't. We said, okay, we're going to have to just drive on the donut all the way to Kalispell, which you can get pretty far on a donut. The internet wasn't telling us that, but the reality is that you can. Some people drive on them
I think
for...
we said like 70 miles only is recommended, something like that.
I think so. And we were like, it's going to be more than 70.
Yeah.
But It was like 150 or something,
Right,
right?
because it was like a long. It was
It
like
was a
almost
long
like
drive.
It wasn't 150. It was like a 2-hour drive.
Yeah, so maybe like 100 miles.
Yeah, yeah,
But it was enough to be long.
yeah.
So we said, okay, we're circumnavigating and we're going over to Kalispell. And we thought also, okay, well, if we can't go to Costco, then
There's got to be other.
there's
things.
got to be, if there's a Costco, maybe there's other stores.
Right. So the drive itself was actually, it's pretty beautiful around the edges of the park. For the most part, until like right at the end, we had like you got like a weird message on your dashboard, and we switched driving because I drove most of the way.
Right.
And otherwise, it was
What was the message?
I forget. It was something about the steering, I think, was the issue. And when we ended up talking to the people at the tire place, they were like, oh, that sometimes happens. Like when...
Oh, right. Because when there's a donut on.
When there's a donut on. And this was like, we were so close, and I was like, oh my God, we're so close. We were like maybe 20 minutes away, and we're like, I think I said a silent prayer, like, please just let us get there. Because I think part of our real thankfulness, but also fear, was, good God, what if this had happened when we were in the middle of Montana, where there was
Nothing.
absolutely nothing
And no cell signal.
and no cell signal?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Things we didn't think about.
No. until this happened.
Until this happened.
Right.
Right. Things like satellite phones not even entering into our
Nope.
consciousness.
No. We're smart, but
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
But we're also limited.
that's true.
So we,
Unlimited.
you know how I know you're gay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're finally in Kalispell. It's so cute. Like there's a lot happening in Kalispell.
It's like a metropolitan, I'm using air quotes,
It's
area.
not metropolitan,
Right.
but it's certainly...
It's a biggish city for Montana.
There's Costco's,
Yeah,
there's a
there's
Kohl's,
things.
there are things.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know if cute's the word, but like it was thriving.
There was some thrive.
There was life happening there.
So we're there, and we finally get to the Costco.
we're there early.
We're there early.
At 8:30.
Yeah.
Costco opened at 9.
And so we were there as they were opening it up for senior Costco members. And they were very kind, and they like let us go into the tire counter and ask them questions.
Yeah.
And so things we found out from the very kind people at the Kalispell Costco.
Also, the mechanic that came out to help us was so incredibly kind and helpful.
kindest.
I think his name was Mike.
Yes, his name was Mike.
Yeah.
First, we determined that you, Mike,
I was not
are
on
not
the
on the membership, and therefore neither of us have access to Costco.
Unless I wanted to buy a membership.
Unless you wanted to buy a membership,
Right.
which was going to be like $100 or something. And
Yeah.
we were like, okay. And the very kind people there looked at the situation, and they were like, yeah, I don't think I have tires that would match this.
Right.
But I know that Discount Tire is going to have them, and they're at the other end of the parking lot. You should just go to Discount Tire.
Right.
So I called Discount Tire because now we have service in
Right.
Kalispell. They were like, oh yeah, we definitely have
Tires
a
that don't
few
match
options
that. Yeah.
that are going to work. So we pull in, somebody from the kind people at Discount Tire as well come outside, meet us, and they're like, oh, okay, great. So I have one tire that could match this. However, it's never a good idea to just buy one tire.
Right.
It's
gonna
always a
screw
good
up
idea
your
to buy
tread.
two.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to just buy one. So I'm going to buy two. So because it was my car, this was, talk about this conversation we had where like, you being a supportive person, you're like, should I pay for half of these tires? And I was like, I can't justify you paying for half of the tires that go on my car. I haven't paid for any of the tires that go on your car. We've taken your car all over the place. I was like, no, this is just a cost that I endure.
I've just been leeching money from your account. You don't know. Who's
Right.
to say?
Who's to say? So I said, no, I think I'm just going to buy these because I knew what kind of tires I wanted to get when I did replace these. And so I got the brand that I wanted.
Right. They were like, it'll be like an hour and a half. Pretty empty in Discount Tire at the time. Maybe there was 1 or 2 people waiting in the waiting room when we were dealing with like payment and everything.
Right. And they also said if you wanted, you could buy this protection plan for each of the tires that could then, like, if something happens to them,
Right.
then you can
Any
go to
Discount
another
Tire,
Discount Tire and they'll
free
just replace
tires.
them for free.
Yeah.
So we talked about that and you paid for that little extra add-on.
Yeah.
And then we were like, okay, that was how we sort of settled that.
So in the meantime, we had to like kill time and we didn't want to just sit in the waiting room. So we ended up going to a Cabela's and like
it was like walking distance. So we walked around to Cabela's
and got some stuff. We got some more Deet. Maxi Deet was in the house. And then we kind of just like hunkered down at like a Starbucks for a while.
There was this walking distance Starbucks. We walked to a Starbucks, made some phone calls because we had signal.
Right.
And then
returned about an hour and a half later. The car was still not done. However, returning an hour and a half later was a surprise because we did not know what a joy and wonder it would be to sit in this discount tire and people watch
because the people that came into this discount tire were some of the most fascinating human beings I have ever seen.
Let's also, from the time that we were gone to the time we returned, the line kind of never ceased to go out the door. Like it was insane.
There were tons of people.
I mean, discount tire was raking it in that day.
Oh yeah.
They kept apologizing. They're like, we're really sorry. It's going to be a little longer.
I mean, they were
us.
so wonderful and attentive to everyone.
Right.
And kept giving everybody updates about everything.
There were characters.
There were so many characters. This one particular gal came in and I thought they were outright arguing, but they weren't arguing. This is just how she communicated. But she had, which is fairly common in Montana, to bring your car to a tire place and have your winter tires taken off and have your summer tires put back on. And that's what she was doing. And she was going over all of her records, all of her stuff about where they were stored.
It's the woman in the sundress?
Yes.
Okay.
And she, again, I thought she was screaming and yelling, but like...
It's just how she communicated.
But
she was like a character.
But it was one of those things like a few people in there were turned and like, what? Is she screaming? And then there were other people who just like were not fazed.
Right.
Including the guy who was working the desk.
Right.
Totally unfazed, totally friendly with her.
There was the woman who came in like 50 times. Like she was in and out.
Oh, there was her. That was right.
We were like, what is happening? Then there was the teen who like needed his tires changed, but his dad was coming to like help talk to the guy.
I could see a bit of a kindred softness here with this young
kindred softness
guy.
Is how I will now refer to people of our ilk from now on.
But no, I'm not making any presumptions,
right?
Because it's not helpful to make presumptions.
No,
I was like, God, I hope you have support.
Yeah. But we did finally end up getting the car, which felt really good to just be like, okay, well, this is sort of our lifeline because how are we getting home?
Yeah.
It definitely was that moment that morning. Like, I think something broke inside me. Like, this is the part of me that felt like, as a kid, like, what if the car broke down on the highway? What would we do? And like, you would just,
and it happened.
You'd be a highway person and live on the highway forever.
And you just live on the highway forever.
Mm-hmm. We were able to stop and get some groceries on the way back and also do a major car wash because the car looked like it had murdered a swarm of bugs. Like driving across the country.
There were so many bugs.
Something I don't think either of us thought about was how many bugs would end up on the
how many times we would need to wash the car.
Like how the windshield wipers stopped doing the work they needed to do to clear the bugs off.
Right. They did.
Yeah. So
and also like bug guts will like totally rip into your paint if you leave them to dry for too long. We knew we had to get those off. So we did go to the car wash.
Right. We decided that we didn't want to like have it be a total wash of a day. We were going to enter back in on the Sun Road on the western end because we had our ticket and could get access to the road. And we were going to do a hike that was kind of closer to the western end of the park that we had planned to do later in the week. But opportunities presented themselves that changed that. And with that, let's take our first break.
You have friends over, binge watching your favorite show, cats on your lap. No matter your reasons for wanting to stay put and keep your feet up, get beer, wine, and spirits delivered to your door in under 60 minutes with Drizzly, the #1 app for alcohol delivery. It's so convenient. You can shop across multiple stores, choose from a huge selection, and find the best deals on exactly what you're looking for. Get what you want and get it when you need it. Right now, Drizzly is giving all new customers $5 off their first order if you use the code FAST5. So download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's Drizzly, DRIZLY.com, and use the promo code FAST5 for $5 off your first order. Get what you want and get it when you need it with Drizzly. Today's episode of Gaze at the National Parks is sponsored by TrueFire.com, the planet's largest and most comprehensive selection of online guitar lessons, according to Guitar Player magazine.
TrueFire's interactive learning tools and massive library of over 50,000 video lessons help guitarists ignite their technical skills, harmonic knowledge, rhythm playing, and soloing. Over 2 million guitar players worldwide learn, practice, and play with TrueFire. Using TrueFire's desktop and mobile apps, guitarists work with multi-angle HD video lessons on any device, anytime, anywhere, and at their own pace. TrueFire's style-specific learning paths guide guitarists every step of the way. Use the assessment tools to find your starting point, then follow the lesson recommendations and track your progress as you work through your personalized TrueFire study plan.
And TrueFire's educators are the best in the biz. From Grammy Award winners to world-renowned artists, TrueFire students have access to an unparalleled faculty of over 300 top-notch blues, rock, jazz, country, and acoustic guitar educators. Guitar players can progress faster with private one-on-one instruction, group lessons, multi-track video jams, live streams, song lessons, premium tracks, and so much more. With thousands of 5-star reviews from amateur and pro players alike, you'll find yourself in good company with the world's most comprehensive guitar learning platform.
So grab your guitar and ignite your musicality. Visit TrueFire.com and use code GAZE for your free 30-day all-access trial and 50% off your first purchase. That's TrueFire.com/gaze. And that's GAZE, G-A-Z-E. I came up with a new game.
I'm ready.
I'm excited. So the game is called Spare Tire. So the way this, I was inspired by what happened. The way this game works is it's sort of like one letter change, except instead of one letter, you're dropping part of a word or part of a phrase and replacing it to create a new phrase or new word. So we're going to use...
Is this one of those other games where I'm going to have to like write it all down?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
So we're going to use the phrase spare tire as our jumping off, as our like inception point for this. Okay. So if I needed a spare tire for the word spare to create a wheel that was made of mushrooms, it would be this type of tire.
A spore tire.
That's right, a spore tire. So do you see what I'm doing? I'm
see
like
what you
dropping
mean.
parts of the word. So
you're replacing. There's replacement.
There's replacement, and it's the same number of letters.
It's the same letter or number of letters.
Same number of letters, yeah.
Great.
So it really could be just like a one letter change because of the O in there.
Yeah.
If I was doing a backsplash project and I had this left over, instead of a spare tire, I'd have
a spare tile.
That's right. I'd had spare tile. If I was...
Oh, I see. So we're working off of one phrase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay,
so
great.
it's like one phrase.
Great.
The game is called Spare Tire, but I'm using spare tire as our kind of like jumping off point.
Okay, so if one house from a deck of cards decided to like buy a car, they might keep this instead of a spare tire.
A spade tire.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. If I was a nanny that watched children and I had to change this on my car, it would be this.
A spare diaper?
No, same letters. So let me rephrase that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I get the rules. So,
if I was I'm going to give a different clue. If I
Okay.
was a live-in nanny and I had this in my trunk, that sounds bad.
an au pair tire?
An au pair tire. What's an au pair tire?
Wow. Okay, great.
I think that was good.
I think it was. I think
it could be.
I think it could be.
If I was really sick and all this phlegm was coming up and I had extra of it to give, I would have this.
Oh, God, I don't know.
What's spare bile?
Spare bile?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, so we're working with two letters.
Oh, 3. Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
2.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm dropping the TIR for BIL.
Oh, I see.
So that's the spare part of the spare
Oh, I
tire.
see.
Does that make sense?
Maybe it's helpful if you say it's 1, 2, if how many letters are
Okay.
being dropped.
I love that we're figuring this game out.
Oh,
as we
yeah.
go.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. So this is 1 letter.
Okay.
Okay. So if it's still working off of the phrase spare tire.
Yeah.
Yeah. If in an emergency situation, if I had extra of this urgency and this like extreme sort of attitude toward danger or seriousness, what would I have? Oh, I can see that this is an emergency situation. This is extremely urgent. So I can offer you some of...
Spare time?
Ooh, no, I was looking for spare dire.
A spare time. Yeah, I like it's fun because I feel like you could do it like I'm dropping the same letter from both words and to create new words.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you could say spade dire would be a drop.
Okay, I've got one for you.
Okay.
It's just 1 letter change.
So we're back to this now. Our game
No,
has
but I like
morphed.
spare tire though, because there's a lot here.
Yeah.
It's just what I have right now.
It's what I've got.
Uh-huh. This is what you get if you if the like pointy peak of a building decided to like get on the road and roll away.
Aspire tire.
Yes.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's spare tire.
So we are moving and grooving. The car has got a new tire on it. The car is clean. We are headed into the west side of the land, also called Glacier National Park. And we're on going to the Sun Road.
Right, which we didn't think we would be this far west again. So this was sort of like a surprise for us.
And
but
we entered at about 1:30 in the afternoon. It was a Monday.
right.
A holiday Monday.
1:30 in the afternoon. It was a Monday.
There was a brisk breeze flowing through the trees, and I just knew in my heart that something was off.
And we went through with the ticket reservation at this point, which was actually very easy to do. You had to show your pass plus also that reservation, and it was a pretty smooth process to get us into the park.
There was one checkpoint for road pass, and then there was another checkpoint for
Your actual pass.
our actual like entrance
Yep.
fee. The trail that we wanted to do was called the Trail of Cedars and Avalanche Lake, which is technically 2 trails. The Trail of Cedars is a boardwalk trail. The Avalanche Lake Trail is a trail through the woods that leads up to a terminal point called Avalanche Lake.
Right, correct. So it was kind of a double whammy here. We were originally going to hike this with Becky Lomax, and when we were texting at Kalispell, the tire center, she was like, oh, you guys should totally do that. Actually, I can't meet you when I thought. I have a better trail in mind. So we'll do that together.
We'll do that later
she's
this
like,
week.
Just do that. She's like, but listen, parking is going to be a pain. She's like, you should be forewarned of that, but also try to park in the Avalanche campground parking area, which is like the campground's closed for the season, but you probably will be able to pull in and just park there. We were good and warned about the parking situation.
We'd also passed it the day before when we were leaving Apgar.
When we were going to Apgar.
Well, when we were going and coming from Apgar back toward Lake McDonald, we had passed it and had always seen a lot of cars and people trying to park.
Even at like 5 a.m, that was packed. Yeah.
So we finally arrive, and lo and behold, all of the street parking is taken.
Right.
So we pull into the campground as mentioned, but apparently everyone else had heard this tip too.
NPS had basically closed the campground.
And there were parts of the campground that were closed.
Yeah.
So there were some parking in there, but also all the parking spots were taken.
Yeah.
So we just circled and came back around and back through and back around and back through. And
we could have parked much further down the road. There was like
but it was
parking.
Like a mile and a half down the road.
But it was
we didn't want to do that.
And there's not much of a shoulder to walk on.
No.
So,
but there were people who were doing that.
Oh yeah, they were.
So we managed to.
There were basically 2 lots, essentially, like
on
2 pull-in lots
that
it's just one, like a 1-spot lot or like a one row
one spot deep.
One deep. Yeah. Sorry, words. 1 row deep, basically. And we ended up at the very edge of one of those. Thankfully, like this lovely couple was like pulling out and they were like, this is yours. Cause there was a lot of like that negotiating, people getting out of cars and being like, are you leaving? Cause I'm right here. There was a lot of aggressive energy.
Which is what we had to do in order to get a spot too.
It's not easy. So be forewarned, if that is a trail you'd like to do, this may be a situation you find yourselves in as well.
Also, Avalanche Lake Trail is a little more geared toward people who are ready to hike, ready to do some incline. Trail of Cedars is a flat boardwalk situation.
Right.
So there were a lot of families coming to do Trail of the Cedars. Right. There's also a lot of interpretation happening so that you can find out about these trees.
Right. And so park there, the turnover wasn't terrible. It just was like linking up and finding a spot at the right time. We definitely gear ourselves up. I think we were both very tired. Because the day had started with like adrenaline to be ready for Highline, to then like a different sort of adrenaline to having to like change a tire and like do that whole everything. Yeah. To now like, okay, now you're actually going to hike. So it was like definitely a different sort of body preparation there.
Right.
But
we didn't want to lose a
day
this afternoon
there.
where we could do something fun.
Yeah. We are able to fill our bladders up. There's like a good fill station there, hit the bathrooms, and then we cross the road to start the Trail of Cedars. This is a loop trail. There is a lot of boardwalk, but we aren't able to complete the boardwalk section because right towards the road where we essentially parked, they were doing construction on it. So like there is a jut off eventually, which is what we did on our way back, that we would have to do because the whole boardwalk itself was not available to complete at that time. But we end up getting on this foresty, not boardwalk part of Trail of Cedars first.
Because it sort of just was the entrance from the campsite area. And it was a beautiful flat walk for a bit.
A beautiful flat walk with 1,000 people.
With 1,000 people. That's true. There were so many people on this trail.
Yes.
Which was the first time I had really seen this kind of busyness here in this park. I mean, the day before we had done Apgar Lookout, not many people. We'd seen people at this parking lot, but then we went to Lake McDonald and didn't see many people. Right. And then we did see more folks up in Logan Pass, but even that wasn't that packed. So this was the first time really experiencing the national parks are filled with people right now.
Right. It really doesn't take us long to do this little section of Trail of Cedars before we end up on to the Avalanche Lake Trail.
Yes.
Which starts sort of like very quickly. You have like river and also sort of like this flooded out area. At this time that we were there anyway, like there were definitely trees that like this clearly was like overflow, I feel like, from the river, like a little bit of a floodplain there. So it's kind of initially a very wide trail, very windy, and it's this sort of compact earth. And it sort of feels like the entire time we said this, like you're walking to a castle that's in the woods.
Yeah.
It had that vibe, that energy.
That kind of forest.
It felt like a pilgrimage to this castle because there were so many people.
That was definitely the vibe of this trail. Also, what I liked about this trail was that as it started, it was incline, certainly, but it wasn't the steepest of incline.
No. It was
when it started.
Yeah.
When it started.
Important disclaimer there.
Yeah.
Because things changed at some point. It's very sort of dense forest here. I would say the path to counter what you just said is once we get going further along, anything but flat. There are these little minor elevation gains along the way, and there's a lot of them. There's also these losses that happened, and there are some bigger losses and bigger inclines. It definitely is very challenging at time, more so than I expected it to be, which is why I think a lot of people either do Trail of Cedars first and then tag this on, or maybe just do Trail of Cedars because this may not be their jam.
Right. There were also a ton of kids on this trail, particularly small children, which I thought was great. Bring them along. Absolutely. I also know as a young kid, I would have been like dying inside.
And some of them were. I mean,
some of them were very upset to have to do this. This was an
interesting choice for small children. But again, I think it was sort of like, well, we have the kids and we're at Trail of Cedars. Let's do this Avalanche Lake Trail because it's right here.
The trek out to Avalanche Lake in total is 4.5 miles there and back. So if you add Trail of Cedars to this, it would be a 5.5 mile total journey. So yeah, I do think some people think that Avalanche Lake is going to be a little bit easier than it seems.
Yes, for sure. We get to hike along the edge of the river running from Avalanche Lake for a large early part of the trail. It's always kind of a joy to be able to hike along running water. I feel like it's very calming. And even though there were a ton of people, this sort of set like a very tranquil tone for the trail itself, especially being in the forest like we were. It just had a very grounding sort of effect. And I feel like after the morning we had, it was kind of like a nice way to spend our afternoon.
I agree. While, it was tough, I loved this trail. I would do this trail again many times.
Something we also noticed on the trail was that there were so many exposed tree roots. And I'm imagining a lot of that probably comes from erosion from the trail usage. It has to be insane just because it is a heavily trafficked trail. And I do feel like those roots at certain points made parts of the trail a little bit more difficult because there were not necessarily that you had to dodge them as obstacles, but you did have to walk over them sometimes. They aren't, the kindest to your feet as opposed to like a flat area of ground. So there was definitely that to consider too as you're hiking there.
Something that I really liked about this trail is that it did remind me a lot of that trail we did on in Acadia over on...
Oh my God, my brain.
Oh my God, the other section of Acadia,
Yeah.
Schoodic Peninsula. There we go. We got there.
I almost said Schuylkill
because
Peninsula.
it was also mossy and beautiful here.
Not as soft earth.
Not soft earth.
No.
But it was definitely a mossy trail landscape.
Yes. We are hiking for a little bit. There are these people that are we're trading like whether we're in front or behind them on the trail, and they'd stopped and they were like, by any chance, do you guys have a Band-Aid?
And did we?
We did.
We did,
because
right?
you know what? First aid's important.
That's
so
right. I think we both have them
we
at all
do.
times.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We were able to pass that on to them. They were like super nice. They were in from Texas, I believe. And they were like, this was our first hike. We just got in. And so we're so excited to do this.
I think we had seen them down. We were parking at the same time.
Yeah.
That's what was happening. That's where we had seen them before. Not far from there after we had because we stopped for a minute, at this boulder, let people pass in between us as we were chatting. Not far after that, we come to this giant open area that looks like all of the trees have been bowled over. It is like a gorgeous, stunning view, out into the distance to see other peaks in Glacier. But it also kind of looks like these trees were burned, which we found out later we have found out already from Becky Lomax, has happened in many parts of Glacier National Park. It was clear that this had happened here too.
We realized that we're really not that far from the lake at this point, especially as we're talking to people who are hiking back, because it is probably around the 2-mile mark. We're definitely, okay, this has been a little bit more of a trek than we thought it would be. We were obviously geared up and prepared, but I think we were both like, okay, are we at the lake yet? As we get closer, the trail tightens up. And so you sort of walk through this very lush section of trail that is a much tighter trail area than the rest of the trail had been. And we see a bunch of different wildflowers that had already been pointed out to us by Becky along the section of the trail. And it just is incredibly dense and lush in a different sort of way.
And by this time, I was starting to feel the incline and feel the distance. And we were like, we've got to be close. We've got to be close, right? Just as soon as that trail started to tighten up, it opened up once again. And there was this magnificent view. And with that, let's take our next break. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage
Hugo there.
Hugo there.
The drag king.
Drag king, Hugo there. Okay, immediately, Hugo there feels like he solves mysteries. Right.
So he's like
he's like a Carmen Sandiego type of energy.
Who is the detective in the Agatha Christie novels? I can never remember his actual name, and it's like Poirot, I think is his name. It's Poirot, I think. I feel like it's that energy with a very big mustache and a monocle, like the Monopoly Man. I think that is
Hercule Poirot.
There we go. Yeah.
Thank you, Internet.
I knew it though. I couldn't remember his first name.
Yeah, I didn't remember it at all. So
yeah, I feel like that is the energy that Hugo there serves.
Yes. I feel like
he's a placement king.
Placement.
Yeah, Hugo there. He orders. he can He his motto is a place for everything and everything in this place.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Hugo there also maybe like is the host of an escape room, an event like that.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Maybe when Hugo is performing, it's like this entire bar is now the doors are locked and you will only exit if you find the key.
I like this. I think he sings one of his songs is from the musical Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which is in this room here. And it's all about the different rooms in the Chocolate Factory.
It's such a terrifying song, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one where they're on the boat?
I don't think so. It's like the room, like it's when they're in the room of doors.
I'm thinking of like
in this room here, there are luminous lollies and doo-doo-doo.
Oh, that's from the musical.
Yeah, that's from the musical.
Okay, no, I'm thinking about the one in the movie and the
Is
boat.
it raining? Is it snowing?
That feels more like
Is
Hugo
a
speed.
hurricane a-blowing?
That.
That's where I live my life most days.
No, I do feel like Hugo there has like a mustache.
I said a big thick mustache
and a top hat
and a monocle, like the Monopoly Man.
Perfect, exactly.
Yeah, that's his aesthetic vibe right there.
And black.
Mm-hmm.
I see that.
Mm-hmm.
And sleek.
I feel like he also is a big fan of the movie Clue.
Obviously.
And so he does Clue watch parties.
Oh, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Hugo there.
Mm-hmm.
Clue watch parties.
It's part of his show. It's like
Hugo's
it's going to be a show,
Hugo
but
there.
Also there's going to be a Clue watch party.
I'm
There's
here
a lot
for it.
happening here.
There's a lot of Clue. Maybe there's a lot of like fellow drag performers who dress up as those different Clue characters.
Got it. So it's like a Rocky Horror situation.
Yes, but for Clue, hosted by
Clue.
Hugo there.
I love this.
I love that.
A drag king after my own heart.
That's right.
That's right.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage
Hugo there.
So here we are finally at Avalanche Lake. We've made it. And it is as beautiful and as stunning as one could ever hope.
It truly is like the kind of unbelievable, most teal blue water that I've ever seen.
And there's waterfalls in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
And
a lot of like felled logs in the water,
Yep.
like right when we're approaching.
There's like a small beach area right there with some sand. So we stood there for a minute and then we noticed that there was a lot of people turning back after they would come there, see the lake and then turn around. But there was also a trail that ran along the lake.
Right.
So we decided to follow that.
This is for the most part very wooded, but you can see the lake for the most part all the way around. There are some breaks in the trees, but there are some denser tree areas where you're also a little further from the lake, it seems. So you do kind of like weave in and out there. It is a little bit craggy and rocky on this trail in a different sort of way than the way out to Avalanche Lake was. A lot tighter too, and a lot more lush here, like less wide than most of Avalanche Lake Trail. Definitely for me, I don't know about you, but I was like in bear worry at this point. I don't know
I was
why.
in bear worry. Yes, certainly.
Because I feel like there was talk of it. Like we were hearing people be like, oh, there was a bear. Something happened that like set my bear senses.
I don't remember that.
Like,
I just remember anytime we were in woods and Glacier being very bear aware.
Yeah. And definitely like making noise, shaking things to kind of like make sure that we were alerting the bear of our presence if there was a bear.
Yes.
You may be tired when you get to that initial shoreline and want to turn back around, but do yourself the favor and take the walk out.
Oh, it was so worth it. This trail goes almost all the way to the waterfalls on the other side of the lake.
It sort of does. Like, it definitely gets you out that way.
It does. In order to actually get to those waterfalls, you actually have to like cross through some water.
Some deeper water sections.
A lot deeper water. And so as we walked along the edge of the lake, it was not sand.
No.
Walking along the edge of the lake was through these woods, and then through a very short amount of woods you could see, just through like, you know, like a shallow strip of trees, you could see that the water was beyond it. And so we made it to the other end of the lake fairly quickly, and there were only a few other people.
Yeah.
There were some people coming back.
We talked about, do we want want to cross the water? Do we want to keep going? But then it was like kind of later in the day. It also involved us like completely taking off hiking boots and walking through.
And getting totally wet.
Getting totally wet. And we were sort of like, if it was earlier, I think we would have been more inclined to go all the way out there. But it was still a really good view at this point. And we knew that just experiencing the lake and being able to walk along it was an experience enough that I was happy to have taken, you know.
And you have a rule. You don't get wet in the afternoon.
Well, I mean, I make exceptions, but today was not one of those days.
We explored this area that we've decided was going to be our terminal area here,
We
which was...
hit a shoreline. There were some people there.
And we stood at there were some people from New York there.
Yeah.
There was some beach, some sand, and we just stood there and took photos and took it in. Yeah, somebody was from Brooklyn. I think I overheard somebody talking about Jersey, and I was like, do I engage? And I decided to just...
Yeah. Just be like, I know where I'm from.
I know where I'm from. I'm from Jersey. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know, it was a lovely spot to be.
Yeah. And I think that this is probably like a big hangout for people, like a big hangout spot. So definitely worth it to like come out here and spend a good amount of time.
Something that I loved, we did a lot in this trip. We did a lot of checking in with each other. And this was probably my favorite check-in moment of the entire trip, happened here. As we turned around and started hiking back, you turned to me and you were like, hey, how are you feeling? Or no, you were like, how are you doing? And how did I respond?
Oh my God. It was like I can't remember the exact verbiage now. It was a running joke, but it totally just went out of my head. But that's it. How am I doing? It was so intense and so it totally caught me off guard. I'm like, yeah, how are you?
And I was like, oh, that did sound really defensive, didn't it?
How am I doing? I'll tell you how I'm doing.
I was like, okay, we're hiking back. And I just was like in the zone. And then we were like, so how are you doing? And I was, how am I doing?
It was such strong energy.
It was so funny.
It wasn't great.
Yeah. So, but we did start this long hike back. It started to feel easier because we were headed downhill.
Well, sometimes. There was still some incline
that you have to do. But
revisit, yeah. This is also where we see the fallout of all the tired children who are turning back now. And that energy was real.
Energy was real. I was feeling it too.
I was there too, but not in tantrum yet because there was a lot of that happening.
Oh, no. Yeah, there was a lot of that.
We played
happening.
A lot of we were like mentally done at this point in the day. So there was a lot of one letter change happening on the trail, which was very important for both of our well-beings at this point.
Yeah, it's true that I think we underestimated how tired this trail would make us. Mm-hmm. Also, how long this trail actually was.
Right.
And we had just added that extra little, we probably added a mile with that walk around the lake. It was probably at least like almost a half a mile around, like I'd say, but a significant distance. Right. And as we were heading down, I was starting to feel it.
Yeah.
Certainly. We got down finally and got back to the Trail of Cedars.
And got on the boardwalk section of it.
And got on the boardwalk section finally, and we did the other side of the loop that we had not done yet.
Yeah, it definitely had for me a little bit of a Congaree feel, just in that it was like a wooded boardwalk area.
But it was nice for it to be flat.
Yes.
It was a really nice reprieve.
Oh yeah, it was. It was totally like a very well worth it. Also, lovely different section of what we had just done. Even the first part of Trail of Cedars is not like this. It's like ferny, kind of denser forest, and you have a lovely boardwalk path to explore it on.
That's true.
Definitely worth it to do.
Without the Congaree spiders.
Without the Congaree spiders. So always a bonus. Definitely a well worth it sort of end to this trek this day because we were both, I think, exhausted in so many ways. We got back to the car. It was quieter. There weren't a lot of people. It seems like if you want to do Trail of Cedars and Avalanche Lake, it's like do it very early in the morning, or sort of like at this point it was like 4:35 by the time we were back to the car, or do it like at this time. And especially with the sun and Glacier being, up until you could probably hike it at 9 o'clock and it would still be light by the time you're done. Check that. Don't go off of what I just said, but you could hike it later. Like a 7 o'clock hike would probably be okay. And like, you'd be okay to get back.
Oh, yeah. Especially if the sun is not going down until that late.
Around the solstice. But it was a good training hike for us because the following day, barring any other car incidents, we were headed to the High Line.
Let's put the Trail of Cedars first on the Karen Stone scale.
A 2.
Yeah, a 2.
Yeah.
For me.
I mean, I think she's even like a 1, really. She's like a very innocuous sort of not gonna take anything from you hike. Like, it'll only give you...
I'm actually going to say I'm going to go down to a 1.
Yeah, I think a 1.
So 2 out of 20 on the Karen Stone scale. Okay, so Avalanche Lake. My gut instinct is saying a 6.
Okay.
Because of the incline.
Yeah, I'm going to say 5. It was definitely trickier than I thought it would be. There are, sure, a variety of factors that could have, led to me feeling that. But I do think it was a trail that you shouldn't be ambiguous about its difficulty. I think people go to it and think, this will be easy because I just hiked Trail of Cedars and that was a cakewalk.
Or maybe people say, I'm going here because it's hard and I want a challenge.
Yeah. So definitely a trickier trail than I thought it would be. So a 5.
Trickier trail.
Great.
So an 11 out of 20 Karen Stones.
So let's end this episode how we end all of our full-length episodes with some Jeopardy-style trivia.
Inspired by this episode.
Well, yeah, most of the time. Jeopardy is titled Car Trouble. And in this Jeopardy, you are going to either need to name the car, character, or the television show. This is all about cars that in some way are central characters in film.
Or TV.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, I'm ready.
You'll be okay, I promise.
Great.
I know we're queer. we don't pay attention to cars.
It's all good.
But I think you'll be okay.
Great.
All right. For 100. This 1958 Plymouth Fury has a jealous spirit and murderous streak in this book and movie from master of horror and suspense, Stephen King.
Oh, it's a horror movie about a car?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, no.
Oh, I thought you would know this.
No.
Oh, what is Christine?
Oh, Christine is the car.
Christine's the car.
Great.
Okay. Well, this is the vibe.
Here we go.
Okay, great.
Here we go.
Maybe this should have been my 100. For 200, this unassuming VW Beetle with the circular number 53 icon emboldened on its hood had a mind and spirit of its own in this 1968 Disney classic, which got an updated treatment starring Lindsay Lohan in the early 2000s.
What is Herbie?
That's correct.
Right.
Great. For 300, this talking car, a 1982 Firebird Trans Am named Kit and voiced by William Daniels, Mr. Feeney of Boy Meets World, was David Hasselhoff's sidekick in this 80s action television series.
What is Baywatch?
Incorrect.
That's all I have for you. That's my only reference point for David Hasselhoff.
What is Knight Rider?
Right.
I
mean, that's familiar.
Yeah,
I understand.
okay.
I know. I've heard of Knight Rider.
I think I wrote a kryptonite category for you. Sorry about it.
Let's keep going. Talking horses.
The clues are great. I feel like
the clues are great. The clues are wonderful.
Good clues is what I said. For 400, this anthropomorphic Chevy Camaro, who could speak through snippets of radio chatter and song to his human counterparts played by Shia LaBeouf and Mark Wahlberg, is a good pal of Optimus Prime and is named after a black and yellow striped pollinator.
What is Bumblebee?
That's correct.
Great.
Look at you.
That was a total guess just from your clue writing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. And for 500, the final car that Nicolas Cage snags in this high-paced action remake about car thievery is a 1967 Ford Shelby GT500 nicknamed Eleanor. Thank God that Angelina Jolie was in this film to also help it along.
What is Con Air? No, I'm kidding. What is gone in 60 seconds?
That's correct. There you go.
Right.
And that's car trouble.
There we go. Great. Okay.
Who is Lightning Steve McQueen?
Okay.
That's my name on the weekends.
This category is inspired by Trail of Cedars.
Mm-hmm.
In this category, it's all about consonance rhymes.
Okay.
So an assonance rhyme is a word that rhymes because the vowels are the same.
Okay.
A consonance rhyme are words that rhyme because the consonants sound the same.
Okay.
So, for instance, it's all based on the word cedar.
Okay.
Okay, great. Which is really funny that we played that other game earlier.
Mm.
Okay, so I have an example one
Spare
for you.
tire is what it was called.
So,
say its name.
Spare tire.
Mm-hmm.
This beverage is often created from the juice of an apple.
What is cider?
Correct.
Right. Okay.
So
got it.
cedar and cider.
Mm-hmm.
You see what it is?
I
You
do.
get it? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
great. Okay, so for 100,
Mm-hmm.
this is the meal associated with the celebration of Passover in Judaism.
What is Seder?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. For 200. This breed of dog, often associated with pointers, is used as a hunting dog in the UK to hunt pheasant, quail, and grouse. I didn't think I wrote the hardest of
I
categories.
think my brain is just like spazzed out.
It's that first vowel sound that's always going to be different.
Right. What is suitor?
Incorrect. What is a setter?
Setter.
Like an English setter.
There we go.
Okay, for 300.
My brain tired.
This cheap wine is what you bring to an event you don't really care to go to.
What is Sutter?
That's right. What is Sutter home? Okay, for 400.
I was like, Franzia?
This is a heated metal hand tool used to melt material so that it can flow easily between two workpieces and join metals.
What is a solder?
Yeah, soldering iron. Right. And for 500. In England during the Victorian era, this is what one of many gentlemen would be called if they came to the home to try and woo a young lady.
Or to woo Anthony from Bridgerton.
From Bridgerton.
If he was a man.
Mm-hmm.
What is a suitor?
A suitor.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Well, I got suitor right.
You
at some
did
point.
earlier.
I was earlier.
That's right. You
Mm-hmm.
did. Congrats to you.
Thanks.
This has been Gaze at the National Parks, the podcast, and we're here to remind you to hike early and hike often, and that adventure is always out there.
Gaze at the National Parks was created and is hosted by us,
Dustin Ballard.
and Michael Ryan.
To see images from this episode, follow our Instagram at Gaze at the National Parks. To contact us, email us at gazeatthenationalparks@gmail.com. And to find out more about the parks visited on this show, visit our website, gazeatthenationalparks.com. And to buy our merch, visit our Gaze shop. You can go to shop.gazeatthenationalparks.com, and that's Gaze, G-A-Z-E.
All original artwork featured on Instagram, on our website, and in the Gaze shop is by me, Michael Ryan.
All original music was written by Dave Seaman and performed by Dave Seaman, Mariella Klinger, and Sean Slios. Our music producer is Skyler Fortgang. This episode was edited by me, Dustin Ballard.
We would also like to acknowledge that while recording this episode, we were on the traditional and stolen lands of the Lenape people, also known as Ocean County, New Jersey.